Welcome back. So now we want to learn how to flesh out the croquet. Remember that this is where we stopped in the first part of the class. We learned how to create the frame for the croquet. So now it is time to, flesh it out and make it like have a feminine feature, so to say, feminine frame. So it looks more like the human body, and then we can go ahead to like put clothes on it. So to flesh it out, we'll be working with the initial frame that we created. So I want to start with the neckline so that we progress from top to bottom. So with the neckline, you just come a little towards the neckline after the jawline. You come up a little and draw a slant line. You do the same thing on the other side, a slant line, like so. So the line would stop just before the shoulder line. Then from this shoulder tip here, you draw another line to join with this one, like a slant line, like this. So I will implore you to not shade, because you still need to clean some. You might need to clean some things. So don't shade and make sure that your pencil is sharp enough. The reason my pencil is a little bit blunt is so that you can see it clearly. So you do the same thing at the other end. I understand that if you are right-handed, your left hand drawing will be better, a little bit better than your right hand drawing. So you need to be conscious of that as well, but you can actually do everything that is needed for this class. So draw a curve to guide this part as well, then join. So you don't need to use a ruler, you just use freehand. Over time you'll be able to do it without any issue. So this is it. So this part is done. Then I told you earlier that we'll be cleaning off some of these lines. We do not have a line running across our shoulders. We don't have lines running from one shoulder to the other on our body. So we'll clean this line and this line at the center as well would go. So after cleaning that line, I want to redraw this part. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is to draw the collarbone, those bones that are around our neckline. So you just come to somewhere in the middle here and draw a curved line towards the center. You do the same thing from the other side, but make sure that the lines do not meet. So this will be our collarbones. So our image is already taking form. The next thing to do is to draw the second hand. You can have the hand with different poses. It does not necessarily have to be that whatever pose you have at the right hand is what you have at the left hand. It depends on the character that your croquet is taking, or what form, what movement is it going, like does it have at the moment. So is it walking, is the croquet standing, just standing and have a pose, or anything? It depends on you. So I'll create another another hand here, another pose here, so that you have opposites. You can work with them and you can have the same thing. Depends on you. You can have your hands resting on your hip at the back, on your bum. You can have it anywhere. You can have the hand rest over the head. You can have any pose. You can have it at the waist here. It depends on what you are trying to create. But because this is a beginner's class, I'll take a simple design like something like this. So this is what we'll be recreating, so that it is easy for you to learn and practice. So you do the same thing like you did initially, but now I want to show you a way to like create the sleeve, the hand, without first drawing all these lines that we drew initially. So how do I do that? From the shoulder line here, I just bring a straight line down. Then when I get to the waistline, I will have a bend, so inwards, depending on where I want it to be. So I told you that the hand is usually longer than the hip line, so it will come down a little after the hip line. So now that we are here, I'll use this part as my wrist. So I'll just come down a little bit here, just towards the bust point, but not totally there, because of course our hand stops somewhere around our armpit. So I'll assume that this is our armpit and do the same thing, a slant line. Then here, to give that curve, that depth around our elbow, this part of our elbow. I'll draw a curved line from here after getting to the waistline, of course. Make sure that you get to your waistline so that it is a little bit realistic. Then you draw a curved line and join. So make sure you see now that my wrist is a little bit tiny for the kind of hand I had, for how big the hand is. So I'm like adjusting it here. So this is it. Then I will now draw my wrist. So you know that there's like a bone here at the wrist. So let's say the wrist bone. So I'll draw something like this before I would now draw out my palm. So at this end, I'll just draw the thumb like this. This is too long, so I'll reduce it a little and draw the thumb. Then the same way we did for this one, but this time around the fingers will be showing outside, like out here, instead of this one showing inwards. So you have like two sleeve designs that you can play with. So then the fingers, then the next one is a little longer, then the next one is a little shorter, and then of course the last one. So this is it. So if you feel like this is too flat, you can, and I feel so as well, so I'll be raising it outwards a little so it is better. It looks more realistic. But I think the fingers are now too long for the body that we had, so I'm going to shorten it a little, and that is it. Okay, so this part is done. Then we move on to draw the body. So find a way to join your bust, like the breast part, to the armpit like this. So just draw like a curved line towards the armpit. Then from this point, just draw a line from here. When you get to the waist, you curve it out until you get to the hip. So let's do it again. So from the bust, we draw a curved line. When we get to the waist, we curve it out and come out like that. You do the same thing at the other side. So you have to make sure that your hands are flexible so it is easy for you to like turn, because there will be a lot of turnings to do. So if you feel like any of these things are not good enough, like when you are drawing them, you can clean them and make an adjustment. That is why we are using pen tools. So you now draw that same line. You draw a circle around the knee like this. So it will guide you and serve as a guide for the knee area. Then you bring that line all the way down as a slant line now. Make sure that it is slant and you bring it down like that. So sometimes it might be bigger than what you had initially. It is okay. Depends on what you are trying to draw and what size your finished croquet would take. So you do the same thing at the other side here. Okay, so after then you can clean out this triangle. So then you remember that there's as designers, there's a part of our body that is like the crotch. There's a little bit after the hip line, so you just draw like an inverted C or like a curve after the hip line, just a little. Then you try to draw a triangle towards the straight line that we had at the middle of our croquet. So we are drawing something that looks like this and then like this. What you are basically doing is that you are trying to separate the legs so that you have two thighs, exactly. So you just draw like this and like this. So that way you have, instead of having the entire body together, the two thighs together like we had initially, so you separate them, then you just draw a line that is not totally straight all the way to the knee. So once you do that, you have separated the leg. You are giving us an impression that this thigh is behind this one. So the one that has the straight line would mean the one that is at the front. So this one is a little bit at the back. This left one, my own left now, is a little bit at the back, and the one on my right is a little bit is outside, like it is the one we can see first. So after then, we proceed to draw the knee up to the the leg area now. So you draw a curve around here to signify that bend at our knee. Okay, so you do the same thing at the other side too. This one joins, then you draw the curve like that. You see that part, that fleshy part of on our leg, this part of our leg, you just curve it out like this, and then draw a slant line towards the M line, towards the ankle line. You do the same thing here. You know this part that you guys call yam leg or something. So this part of our leg, you've drawn it out like this. So you can clean all these lines. They are no longer useful to us. It was just supposed to be a guide, like I stated earlier. So after you've done that, you will bring this line. You know that this is the knee that is outward, so it is the one that has a little bit of curve now. So you do the same thing here. So this leg is not looking realistic. It is looking tinier than it should be for the body that we've drawn. So I'm going to like adjust it. Okay, so this is better. Can be best. It can get better than the better. So why not? Okay, so this one is at the back, so it can be smaller. We assume that this one is covering some part of it. So once this is done, we'll now move on to draw the ankle. I hope you understand this. I hope I am not too fast. If I am, please let me know. If you have questions, you let me know as well. So for the ankle, you know that there's a bone at our ankle, so you try to like draw it out, but it is not necessary for now until you start drawing, like putting clothes on it and all of those things. So now this triangle would go, but it is meant to be a guide, so let's just use it as a guide first before we clean it off. So we want to draw the feet now. So for this croquet, we want to assume that he has shoes on. So, and we've concluded that this leg here is one in front. That means because it is wearing heels and it is moving, like it's on the move, the croquet is on the move, this feet will be a little bit longer than the one at the back. You get, like you are moving, so you have one leg in front of the other. Of course, if I am looking at you from the front, I would see more of the first leg than I would of the second leg. Exactly, that is what we want to do now. So we'll draw, you know that we have a triangle here, so we want to like separate the triangle now so that we have 2 feet. So you draw a triangle like so for the first feet. So let me just clean this one so it doesn't confuse you. So you draw a triangle like this. But just before you use up the space that you have for your feet, you stop. So once you've stopped, you now draw the remainder, like the like this part of your shoe, this covered part of your shoe. You can have this place a little bit fat and like this. Okay, so the second side, we assume that this one is already this foot is already covering it, so we'll do the same thing, but this time around it will be a little shorter and then smaller. I mean, it is like half of it because this part is covering some of this part. So this is our croquet. Then we'll go ahead to, you know, clean off those lines that I mentioned initially. These lines would go, these ones would go. We do not need them anymore. They were just supposed to be guides. So this is our croquet. These ones would go as well. The rectangle around the head would go. we don't need it. Then we can like have another line here that will shade later depending on what you're trying to make, so that it creates some form of depth for the neckline. So this is our croquet that has been fleshed out. It looks exactly like this. So we can now go ahead to like put outfits on it depending on what we are trying to make. Say corsets, jumpsuits, pants, anything. We can now put outfits on it like it is in the designs that I showed you at the beginning of the class. All these types. So this is the basis for this. You see that the poses are different and it is dependent on your preference and the pose that your character has going on. So that is basically just it. Thank you for sticking with us till the end of the class. Okay, so you would have an assignment, and the person with the best assignment gets a gift. Trust me, gets a gift. So I hope that it would be you or even you. So for the assignment, you are expected to draw this full croquet, this one that has been fleshed out. Draw 2 of it. Let's see what it looks like. Then after we would proceed. But we've come to the end of this free fashion illustration class. Thank you for sticking around. We look forward to seeing your progress. Bye.